What's good, fam? Mystikal just caught a heavy 20-year sentence in a Louisiana prison. And the craziest part is that he pretty much walked himself right into that cell. On June 16, 2026, Michael Lawrence Tyler was officially handed the maximum sentence allowed under his plea deal for third-degree rape. The court showed him absolutely zero mercy during that hearing. He went from stacking Grammy nominations and dominating the charts in the 90s to being a 55-year-old man facing the reality that he might die behind bars.
Years in prison without the possibility of parole on a third-degree rape charge.
A case we were following closely. Louisiana First News reporter Michelle Maslon has the latest details from Ascension Parish.
After years of legal proceedings, the case against Louisiana rapper Mystikal reaches its conclusion.
We are breaking down 5 times. Mystikal got exposed during this 2026 trial, starting with his desperate attempt to take back his guilty plea in front of the world. This is more than a standard sentencing because it marks the final eviction of a no-limit legend from the culture after his behavior finally hit a brick wall. People still talk about the music and his energy on stage, but none of that matters once the receipts show a history of violence dating back decades. This was not just one mistake or a bad day. It was the result of a man thinking he was untouchable until the state of Louisiana proved him wrong. The judge looked at his history and the facts of the case before deciding that his rap star privileges were officially over. Mystikal,
known by his stage name, Mystikal, faced an Ascension Parish judge today. He's been locked up since his arrest in 2022 on rape and domestic violence charges. Our Chris Nakamoto spoke to his family and has more on what they had to say in this.
Thought he could manipulate the legal system like he played a crowd at the Superdome, but the courts were not buying his act in 2026. This 20-year sentence is a wrap for his career and legacy, and when you see how he got here, it is clear he did this to himself. He stood in that courtroom looking like a shell of the man who used to scream about being a soldier. It proved his only real war was against his own lack of control and the way he treated the women in his life. Everything started falling apart when the graphic details from that July 2022 night in his Prairieville home finally hit the public record for everyone to hear. This was not some minor club scuffle or a vague rumor, because the victim stood up and testified that this was way more than just a moment of anger.
During the sentencing hearing, the victim delivered an emotional impact statement. She told the court she was raped and tortured for hours while pleading for her life.
I think as a celebrity, sometimes trouble finds him.
Prosecutors say Tyler sexually assaulted a woman at his Prairieville home in 2022.
She told the whole world from that witness stand how he punched her and choked her, and he even ripped her braids out during an assault that sounds like a straight-up horror movie. The evidence showed a level of calculation that makes you sick to your stomach, especially when you hear how he allegedly took her keys and her phone just to trap her inside that house. He did not even stop with the violence, because the court heard how he grabbed her phone and sent himself money like a petty thief while she was sitting there in total shock. This was never just a misunderstanding between 2 adults, but a violent domestic battery that showed everyone that the man who made danger is a predator who has no business being out in the streets.
I like my woman tied up again. Let me hear you holler danger when I'm running in the.
If you look at the original paperwork, he was facing first-degree rape, which carries a mandatory life sentence in Louisiana. So the man actually dodged a massive bullet by getting a plea deal at all. Seeing those details hit the news in 2026 was the exact moment the industry had to stop making excuses for him, because there is no way to justify ripping a woman's hair out and robbing her. It is one thing to play a tough character in your music, but bringing that kind of animalistic violence into your real life is a different story, and nobody is going to keep bumping your records after that. The prosecution made it very clear that Michael Tyler used his size and his fame to terrorize a person he was supposed to care about.
The story is that he got high, started to accuse her of stealing some money, and according to the authorities, ended up raping her. And then he gets arrested.
By the time they finished reading the facts about what went down in that Prairieville home, any support he had left from fans in that courtroom just vanished into thin air. He was exposed as a person who would trap a woman in his house and then have the nerve to steal her cash while she was at her absolute lowest point. This was the first time in 2026 that the world got a good look at the real Michael Tyler behind the mask, and the image he showed was nothing but ugly. He spent years trying to play the misunderstood artist, but the July 2022 receipts proved he was just a violent man who refused to change even after he already served time for similar crimes. The level of brutality the victim described was so extreme that it made his previous legal issues look like a warm-up act for this final collapsed.
Tyler was taken into custody following the hearing.
Once they got the videotape, he accepted the first plea deal they threw at him because he knew that if that tape was played in a court of law, he was going away forever.
Louisiana prosecutors did not hold anything back, and they made sure everyone in that room understood the terror that woman felt while he was choking her and ripping her hair out. This exposure was the beginning of the end because it stripped away any chance that this was just a false accusation or some he said, she said situation. The physical evidence and the testimony were a mountain that he could not climb over, and it forced his legal team to scramble for a defense that simply did not exist. He was caught in 2026 with nowhere left to hide and no more fans to bail him out of the hole he dug for himself, and it was the most savage reality check a 90s rap icon could ever receive.
Years in prison without the possibility of parole on a third-degree rape charge.
Tyler spoke before the court imposed its sentence after hearing the victim speak. He said, "If that's what I did, I deserve every day of this sentence. I'm sorry. I hope you heal." The judge thanked both for addressing the court before handing down the sentence.
Mystikal got exposed again during this 2026 legal nightmare when he tried to walk away from the plea deal that kept him from dying behind bars. His lawyers pulled a desperate stunt only 7 days before his final sentencing, which exposed exactly how little accountability this man actually has. They filed a motion to withdraw the plea by claiming Michael Tyler was under too much stress during the March court dates to make a real choice. It takes a special kind of nerve to stand there after those graphic details went public and tell a judge you were too stressed to understand what you signed. This man built a career off being a stone cold soldier, ready for any war, but he hid behind a claim of being overwhelmed when the prison gates started moving. The judge saw right through that shit and called it out as a fake move to buy more time. The court ruled the plea was completely valid because Tyler knew exactly what he was doing when he signed those papers. By trying to snatch that deal back at the last possible second, he showed everyone that he was never interested in the truth.
I just know him. He's got a great heart. He's harmless. My son is around him all the time. I absolutely trust him with my son.
He wasn't looking for justice or trying to prove his innocence, but was just terrified of the 20-year cap he had already signed for. That move backfired because it proved to the bench that he felt zero remorse for what he did to that woman in Prairieville. It made it clear his only concern was his own freedom rather than the lives he destroyed with his violence. When you try to manipulate the system like that after admitting to third-degree rape, you are telling the world you haven't learned a damn thing. This was a massive loss for his defense because it stripped away the lie that he was a man ready to own his shit. The tough guy act was a fraud, and it proved that when things got real, he would try to squirm out of his responsibilities with any excuse. The judge saw right through the act, which made the room even more hostile for him as the sentencing drew closer. Before we move on and see how Mystikal basically dug his own grave with the wildest courtroom speech in rap history, I need to know what y'all think about this whole tough guy act falling apart. Do you think these artists actually believe their own hype, or is it just a mask that falls off the second they realize they can't manipulate the system? Tell me in the comments, no cap, and while you at it, make sure you like and subscribe to stay in the loop. Let's continue. The real bomb dropped when Mystikal opened his own mouth and finished himself off in front of the entire gallery. Right before the judge read the final sentence, the rapper stood up and exposed his own guilt in a way that was historic for all the wrong reasons. He looked at the victim and told the court that if he actually did those things to her, he deserved the maximum sentence.
Tyler spoke before the court imposed its sentence after hearing the victim speak. He said, "If that's what I did, I deserve every day of this sentence. I'm sorry. I hope you heal." The judge thanked both for addressing the court before handing down the sentence.
Some people out there want to frame this as an act of nobility, but that is some real shit that nobody should believe. This admission was not about honor. It was the total psychological collapse of a man who realized his no-limit persona could not bully a judge in 2026. He finally understood that the loud and aggressive character that made him millions did not mean a damn thing to a court in Louisiana. That statement ended any hope his lawyers had of getting him a lighter sentence because he validated the 20-year maximum right there on the record. He essentially pleaded guilty for a second time while the cameras were rolling, which is the ultimate self-inflicted wound for any legal defense. By saying he deserved the max, he made it almost impossible for his legal team to file any successful appeals in the future. It was a moment of pure exposure where the tough guy act finally dissolved and left a broken man who knew he was absolutely cooked. He tried to act like a fair observer of his own life, but it was really just a total surrender to the facts of the case.
During the sentencing hearing, the victim delivered an emotional impact statement. She told the court she was raped and tortured for hours while pleading for her life.
He knew the evidence was too strong and the receipts were too real, so he folded like a lawn chair in front of the world. This admission functioned as the final nail in the coffin for his freedom and any legacy he had left in the rap game. He tried to play the role of the humble sinner, but the court saw it as a confirmation of every terrible thing the prosecution alleged. He lost his case and any shred of credibility he had with the fans who were still holding out hope for a miracle. It was a pathetic end for a man who used to scream about being a soldier, but ended up begging for the maximum penalty. This admission did not show strength. It showed a man who was finally crushed under the pressure of his own violent history. The judge dropped the hammer with a full 20-year term, which was the absolute maximum allowed under the plea agreement from earlier that year. The statutory maximum for third-degree rape in Louisiana goes up to 25 years, but the deal capped his exposure at 20. This conviction marks his second major prison term for a sex crime, following the 6-year stint he served between 2004 and 2010. At 55 years old, a 20-year sentence is a death sentence for his career because no 65-year-old makes a comeback as an offender.
Mr. Tyler was taken into custody following the hearing. We were following closely. Louisiana First News reporter Michelle Maslon has the latest details from Ascension Parish.
After years of legal proceedings, the case against Louisiana rapper Mystikal reaches its conclusion.
The court exposed the fact that Mystikal is a predator who the state decided was simply too dangerous to ever be back on the streets. They did not see a rap star or a veteran. They saw a man who refused to learn his lesson despite having every opportunity to improve. This sentencing was the moment the industry realized those high-energy verses were not enough to cover up a pattern of predatory behavior. Louisiana used the full weight of their system to ensure Michael Tyler would spend his aging years in a cell rather than on a stage. The music industry is a business of optics, and no label or promoter is going to touch someone with this kind of repetitive history again. He is not just losing his freedom for 2 decades, he is losing the ability to ever earn another dollar from his stage name. The exposure of his recidivism proved that the previous 6 years he spent in prison did absolutely nothing to rehabilitate his character or his perspective.
Man, I was lost. It took me about a year and a half to kind of readjust to it because I had totally disconnected what I was doing at that time.
He walked out of prison in 2010 and walked right back into the same violent habits that led him to this final 2026 collapse. The most brutal blow of the whole ordeal came from his own blood when his son, Million Tyler, decided to talk to the press after the judge handed down the time. Million told reporters he hoped his father would finally get professional help, and that comment confirmed every dark rumor about what was going on inside that house. It is a massive statement when your own child tells the world you need a doctor instead of claiming you're innocent. This proves the people closest to him knew the monster he was in private. Million had to deal with the reality of those trial details to save himself. He basically cut the cord between his future and the toxic legacy his father spent 30 years burning to the ground. That one interview highlighted how truly alone Mystikal is right now.
His mom told me she's praying for her son, but family members and his longtime friend declined to comment further today. This is video of them exiting the Ascension Parish Courthouse just after 3 o'clock this afternoon.
I just know him. He's got a great heart. He's harmless. My son is around him all the time. I absolutely trust him with my son.
Even his family cannot find a single reason to defend the disgusting behavior that came to light during this 2026 trial. The run is officially over for the man who used to dominate the Billboard charts while standing at the top of the No Limit empire with Master P. He is not a platinum star or a hip-hop legend anymore, and now he is just another inmate ID number sitting in the Louisiana Department of Corrections. The rap game has moved on and the receipts are locked in the vault, leaving him with nothing but the fallout of his own violent decisions. He is going to spend the next 2 decades thinking about how he traded a generational talent for a prison cell because he refused to check his worst urges. This 2026 sentencing was his official eviction from the culture. It shows that no amount of hit records will ever make you more important than the safety of the people around you. Before we check out how the rest of the No Limit family is reacting to this fall, tell me what you think about this 20-year sentence. I want to know if you believe the judge made the right call by giving him the max. Maybe you think the plea deal was already way too light for someone with his track record. Drop your thoughts in the comments, no cap. And while you are down there, hit the like and subscribe buttons so you do not miss the next breakdown. Let us continue with the story.